Yeah, my goal was to pass the PE power. I had a change of career, and it became more important that the PE was an important thing to pursue. So I didn't know you had to take this test called the Fundamentals of Engineering to become an EIT. So I got this book. I found it on Amazon. I thought, well, this is highly recommended, and I started to go through it. In a sense, it was a similar approach. Go all in. I think there's two things, determination and motivation. So the motivation, I knew I needed to pass the test. We could talk about the reasons why, but I knew I needed to do that. And I was going to do it. So motivation. And then the determination is to do the work. I didn't want to spend another 3 or 4 months doing that. So, in a sense, it's like, get it done, do a good job, Keith. On the other hand, you can only do what you can do, in the sense that, like, you can't worry about it every single second, but you do have to be diligent.
Good morning, Keith.
Good day. Hi, Wasim.
How's it going?
Doing very well. And you?
I'm doing well. So, Keith, it's really good to have you on my YouTube channel again. Previously, we did the FE electrical success story, and now we are here in this interview. We're going to discuss about your P power successful attempt. You passed both FE electrical and P power in first attempt with me, and there's a lot of hard work that went into it. I'm going to include a link to your previous interview so that folks who are preparing for the FE electrical, they can go through that. But very quickly, correct me if I'm wrong, fall of 2023, I believe September, October timeframe, you started your FE electrical prep. If I'm not mistaken, you joined my live training, September to November live training in week 3 or week 4 of the 12-week program. And despite joining it sort of 1/3 into the live training, you were able to catch up very quickly. And to make things even more interesting and inspiring, just a quick background, you graduated several years ago, right? Um, and you overcame all of these odds, and basically achieved the goal in a very short period of time, 7 to 8 months. Getting these exams done back to back in first attempts, this is no mean feat. So I'd let you take it from here, Keith, and briefly, review the FE journey, and then mostly we're going to talk about your P Power exam prep.
Yeah, my goal was to pass the PE power. I'd had a change of career, and it became more important that the PE was an important thing to pursue. So I didn't know you had to take this test called the Fundamentals of Engineering to become an EIT. So I've got this book. I found it on Amazon. I thought, well, this is highly recommended, and I started to go through it, and it was good. But I also knew that I had forgotten much of the material, maybe some I hadn't learned. So I just knew that studying on my own wouldn't do it. So in September of 2023, I said, hey, I'm going to go full in and sign up for this course to pass the FE and then make it into the PE exam. And it was a great decision. I think getting that background, learning and relearning the material in a community environment was huge for me, the discipline to do it. I did join a little late, but these are fundamentals, and with putting in the time and the hard work, I was able to catch up. So what is that, October, November, basically in 8.5 weeks, I was able to get caught up, and I signed up for the Fundamentals of Engineering exam, and I took it and passed it first try. It was tough. It was tough for sure, but I also felt confident. I felt like I knew what I was doing. So it was a wise decision to sign up for the course, do the material, do the work, and put myself in a position to succeed. And I did on the first try.
Yeah, and that was in 2023. And if I remember correctly, even before you had passed your FE exam, you enrolled in my P Power program because I run the January to March session as well. And you wanted to make sure that you got a spot in the January to March session, and you were also able to, make use of the Black Friday discount. So that told me a lot about your confidence in my exam preparation resources. And to give credit to you, you showed up to every single session on Saturdays plus Sundays, despite joining the program a little bit late. And I told you that, Keith, if you are willing to put in the time and effort, you'll be able to catch up, because not all topics on the FE exam specification are as difficult as the big five topics like math, circuits, electronics. And when the time came when we started coasting through some of the easier sections, you were able to basically regain the ground. So that was your FE electrical journey, and we did a separate interview. So for those of you who are interested in learning more about how Keith approached the FE exam, feel free to click the link in the description, and I'll also include a link over here somewhere in the video. Now let's fast forward to your P Power exam preparation. So I am assuming that you spent some time with the family, friends in December during holidays, New Year, and whatnot. And then we started, I believe, in the first week or second week of January of this year, 2024, the live training program. So, what was your approach from the get go? How did you immerse yourself in the P Power exam preparation, and how different it is as compared to FE electrical? Did you have to improvise? Did you have to change any tactics, any um, type of a routine schedule in order to deal with that P Power exam?
Hmm. So yeah, it was over the holidays, so I did take some time off. It was a full effort for the first exam. For the second one, I knew I needed to approach it full on, give it my best effort, just like I did for the fundamentals exam. So in a sense, it was a similar approach. Go all in. I think there's two things: determination and motivation. So the motivation, I knew I needed to pass the test. We could talk about the reasons why, but I knew I needed to do that, and I was going to do it. So motivation, and then the determination is to do the work. Um, there's a variety of ways that we study: live training, study guide, homework, visiting with peers, but make sure to do all the work. And so I knew if I did that and trusted the process, I thought I'd be in pretty darn good shape to take the test. It was a lot of work, of course, but being engaged was huge. So the approach was all in. And one thing I should say is it was hard, but I also knew it was for a limited time. So the course is 12 weeks, and then another few weeks before to prep for the exam. That's the strategy I took. So 4 months, let's say, for the PE exam, and I just knew I was all in. I gave it everything I had. If it were longer, boy, that would have been taxing. But I knew it was for that short period of time, and do it, attack it, and give it your best. So that was my approach.
Yeah, I want to dissect a little bit, if you don't mind, Keith. So you mentioned giving it everything that you had, and going all in, staying disciplined, being very clear-minded about what your goal was. How did it look on a daily basis? Like, what was your typical day, from starting from the first week when we kickstarted our live training, the 12-week live training, and until the day that you passed the exam? On average, typically over a weekday, what were you doing? And then similarly for the weekends.
Yeah. So the strategy was stay caught up, which I couldn't always do, but I usually did, and get ahead, really. So be prepared for the upcoming week's lecture. So do all the recorded trainings, the on-demand lectures before the week, during the week. Do the homework during the week, which doesn't have to be 100% because that's part of the learning process, is to discuss that, but give it a very good effort. Do the study guide problems, and then you're ready for the lectures on, in this case, it was Saturday morning and Sunday morning for 3 hours each day. So the time commitment was pretty much each day. And I was an evening type person. So I don't know what that would be, 7 p.m., sometimes 5 p.m. I could start, take a break for dinner, spend some time with my family. But I would study from 7 to whenever. There was things that needed to happen at the house, sometimes till midnight. In fact, it was pretty frequent that from 9 to
Wow.
midnight, I'd be studying
And
pretty hard.
and that's during the weekdays, 7
That's
p.m. to roughly midnight, like give or take 1 or 2 hours, obviously,
sure.
right? But you're putting in like three, four,
I'd say a
sometimes
three,
five
four
hours
consistent. Yeah,
every
I
single
mean, it
day.
varied, but 3 to 5 hours per weeknight.
Yeah.
And then on the weekends, Of course, those 3 hour trainings, those make you a little tired, but I'd want to get a jump on the next week or review the things that were from that week's lesson. So there were a few hours on the weekends as well.
Yeah, so 3 hour, I mean 6 hours right there for the weekend live training, and some of those sessions were actually 3.5 hours long. And if you remember NEC session we did, it was 4 hours on Saturday and 4 hours on Sunday, right? So so you're talking about 25, 30 hours per week for 5 months, 4 to 5 months, right? That's basically almost a full-time job in itself, give or take, right? And consistently stayed with this routine for an extended period of time. Now, one thing, if you don't mind, I'm going to mention is that it's not that you were just studying for the exam and keeping your full-time job, right? You have young kids as well, right? And that takes a lot of coordination, not only on your part but with your spouse, and other help that you have to, um, favors you have to call in, type of thing, and sacrifices that you have to make on the personal front. Do you mind talking about that a little bit so that others can relate to the fact that if you find yourself in a similar situation where certain aspects of your life are being put on hold, you're not alone. A lot of students, a lot of candidates who are taking on this project have done just that to achieve the results.
Approaching the program, which I would recommend, um, figure out how you're going to support yourself and get support from those around you. So for me, family, friends, my family, my wife, she knew how important this was. She knew it was for a set period of time. So she really, as hard as she worked, she even worked harder to support me in my lack of ability to help around the house. So, and even the kids, dad's probably not going to be able to spend as much time with you over the next whatever several weeks. So it was setting expectations with those around you and getting buy-in, because it's a good thing. It's a good thing to pass this exam. It's absolutely great, but it's hard too. And part of that difficulty is the time commitment, with a great reward at the end. So, so there was that. Further, setting one's own expectations. The time commitment, you mentioned a time of 25 or 30 hours. I didn't really pay attention to the time. I wanted to get the tasks done. I think for me,
That's
it's
very
a losing
important.
battle to just say, I'm going to spend this many hours, because you can daydream and then it doesn't mean anything. Getting
Exactly,
it done.
exactly.
So, but also knowing that I was committed to this for a set period of time was important. Um, so, yep, that was an approach I took.
Yeah, that's great, and I can relate to it personally as well. When I was preparing for the exam and I had to put certain things on hold, um, it puts additional pressure on you while you're studying, doesn't it? Because you know that you are the source of potential frustration and disruption in your regular daily routine, not only your routine but that of your family. And what if you actually don't get it done? What if you fail, right? So that pressure, that inner talk is makes it even more difficult, right? So how did you cope with that, or did you ever worry about it? Were you in a tunnel vision, or what was your strategy around it?
Yeah, those are some high pressure situations. The way I thought about that is I knew I needed to pass. I did not want to take this test
Again.
again. Yeah, I knew how hard I worked, and if somehow I failed to do, I would basically just have to do it again. And
Right.
so I didn't want to spend another 3 or 4 months doing that. So, in a sense, it's like, get it done, do a good job, Keith. On the other hand, you can only do what you can do, in the sense that, like, you can't worry about it every single second, but you do have to be diligent. So it was that trust I talked about. Trust the process, do the work. You won't get everything 100%. You'll have a chance to ask questions, but don't put don't put it make it a matter of life and death, but make it very important. So I just had to keep on track.
Yeah. And in one of our earlier conversations, you had mentioned you also like to run, right? So I don't know if like, do you do marathon runs, half marathons, right?
I have done some marathons.
You have done some marathons, right? So obviously that would have gone in at the back burner as well, correct? I'm assuming that between your FE and PE prep over this 7 month period, right? Which, by the way, anyone listening to this will probably take it with both hands. Can I pass FE and PE within 7 months? Tell me the recipe and I'll do it, right? So great achievement. But over these last 7 months, 8 months, I'm assuming you didn't run any marathon, right?
That is true. That is true. I'm I approach that in the sense that I run not because of I'm a runner. Really, it's more for health and for sanity. So those marathon running sessions, they do take a long time, and it's a commitment. So I backed off that. I just said I can't do that this year. But I did continue to exercise. Instead of running a high number of miles a day, I just ran a few miles,
Right.
a few days a
Yeah,
week.
that's
So
important.
it kept my health going, and that was very important because you can't focus solely for 3 months. It's just too much. So maintaining relationships, although you have to cut some things back, maintaining health and exercise, even though it's going to cut back, but you got to maintain it in a bit.
Yeah, and that's very important. And also another thing that I'd like to mention is that Heath, when did you do your undergraduate? It was in
It was in
1990s.
the 90s. It was a long
90s.
time
It
ago.
was a long time ago. So coming back after such a long break and taking these challenging exams head on, which even the young graduates, the new graduates, were just finishing their studies and everything is fresh in their mind. A lot of times these guys and girls are not able to get these exams done in the first attempt. So kudos to you, sheer amount of determination, planning, execution, trusting in the process, and thanks for trusting me as your coach and as your mentor through the process and getting it done in such a short amount of time in first attempt. It's an amazing achievement, and I'm sure that it has given you a lot of confidence boost and a outside of that all the extrinsic you know good things that are going to happen hopefully in your future career and even currently. I think that internal intrinsic confidence and self-respect, if I can call it that, that you gain by getting these out of the way is huge, is that it?
That is very true. It's very true. So once deciding to pursue the PE, I went all in. I think it's interesting as you go in your career, you can do your job, you do a slightly better job, maybe not as good of a job, but there are not these clear demarcations.
Right.
Getting a professional engineering license is a very clear demarcation that you've done something. You study, you take the test, and you either pass it or fail it. There's no in between. Um, and it's scary in a way. Also, it's very beautiful because we're engineers. We like to achieve things, build things, accomplish things, and to have that as a goal, work hard at it, and it is hard work to get it and to pass. It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. Not only that you've done it, but also, and I think this is what you're alluding to, what happens next. So I was in an industry, in private industry, where PE wasn't a thing. It's just people didn't have it, didn't think about it. Now I'm in a different industry, different job, public facing, where it's very important. The public sees these things, and my peers see these things. So to be able to go in with that confidence, some of my coworkers have it, some don't, and to say, "Yeah, I didn't have that thing. I worked at it. Now I did." It was very nice to have your coworkers say, "Hey, good job. That was nice." To have my superiors say, "You passed that thing, those two tests on your first try." So a very nice accomplishment.
Right. That's amazing, Keith. And in terms of how confident you feel going forward, taking on, let's say, technical roles within power systems, or just interacting with folks who have that background and making sense of the abstract concepts, do you feel that there is any type of a quantum shift in terms of your comfort level, putting yourself in those situations, taking those challenges on?
Yeah, two parts. One, do you have the ticket? Do you have the PE by your name? And the second one is the knowledge and confidence. So, I have some experience. In process of getting this PE exam, the application. So the confidence knowing that you're you are among peers and you can speak confidently about the subject matter. So yeah, it helps your confidence. One thing that I've relearned after being out of college a while is this is complicated. However, it's engineering. There's a science to the engineering, and you can learn these concepts and you can learn the fundamentals. And I really appreciate this about how you teach in the content of your class, Wasim, is learn the concepts, learn the fundamentals. It's a wide field. There's a lot there, but you know you can learn it. You know you have learned it, and you've passed that test just like your peers have. And that is a great shot in the arm in terms of confidence.
Yeah, for sure. And I wish you best of luck, Keith. I know you're gonna do extremely well in your career. You have the right mindset. You have the willingness to put in the hard work, setting a goal, achieving it, and you're not shy of, you know, doing what needs to be done in order to get the results. And over the last few months, when we've interacted during these interviews and everything, um, you obviously are have a great interpersonal skill set as well. So I'm sure that your employer has a great asset in you for any type of future roles and projects that you want to take on, and continue doing what you're doing. And I'd like to stay in touch with you over the coming years.
Beautiful. Likewise. And I'm just so happy to have made your acquaintance and gone through the program with you. One last word to people who are thinking about it. Motivation and determination. Do the work. Sign up for the difficult thing. You're an engineer. You've done it before. You can do it again. And it's hard, but you can get there. I'd say go for it.
And it's totally worth it. I think we should emphasize the fact that it's totally worth it. We've talked about all the pain and all the grind that you have to basically go through, right? All the sacrifices you have to make. But those two letters next to your name can make a lot of difference in the long run over the course of your career. Promotions, opportunities will present to you within the industry, and you can also take our entrepreneurial route, which some of my students in the past have done. They've set up their own consulting firms and they've gone on to become contractors with very specialized skill set that they offer in the marketplace. So tons and tons of opportunities open up. So it's totally worth it. Once again, thanks a lot for your time, Keith, and I wish you best of luck. Thanks.
Thank you. Pleasure to chat with you. Bye-bye.
If you like this video, then please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Feel free to ask me any questions in the comment section of this video below. You can find tons of success stories of my FE Electrical and PE Power students over here. And if you want to learn more about preparation of FE Electrical and Computer exam and the PE Power exam, then check out these playlists over here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon in the next video.